welcome to the live. Today we're going to talk about how to live in the present moment. And what I'm going to teach you today is based on my knowledge, obviously. And I'm a psychologist. I work in Orlando, Florida. I am a marriage and family therapist. I also specialize in couples and using EFT, emotionally focused therapy, based on Sue Johnson's work. And today I'm going to teach you a little bit about how to have presence, how to be in the present moment, based on the book of Amy Cuddy. It's a bestseller, and she's a very awesome, very, very intelligent lady and does a lot of research. So I think she speaks from a place of a lot of knowledge for us. And so she, problem the problem with presence is that when we don't have it, it's because we're all over the place with our minds, right? We're in the future where we're not supposed to be. We're worrying about what's gonna happen, what could happen from this, all the problems that could have with it. And then, or also, it could be that we're in the past, oh, this and this and this happened, now this and this and this is happening. So you're making the connections between the present and the past, right? Or even the future and the present and past, everything. You could be all over the place, right? And the problem with that is that it's related to anxiety. When, for example, you're younger, the anxiety comes from presentations at school, or a game day. When you get a little older, it's about getting a job, the interview, the big interview for a job, or for even a university for you to go and study, right? Even to be accepted. Maybe for older people, not a lot of people know this, but one of the most anxious feelings for older people is when they're going to talk to their doctors. And this happens, unfortunately, because when they are telling their doctors what they're feeling and everything that is going on, they're not taken seriously. And that's a big pain for if you're older, if you're talking about your pain and it's being disregarded and disrespected, right? So there's anxiety all over our lives, even if you're older, even if if you don't even work anymore, you're retired, you've worked all your life, it's time to rest. And still there's anxiety, right? Anxiety to, be accepted or be loved, be seen as who you really are, as your essence of who you really are. Not everybody has that. Even this week, I had a patient who, he's a grown man, he has business, he's well off, but he usually is not seen by the eyes that he wanted people to see him as a person that is correct, that pays his dues, that pays his taxes, that he's not a crook, he's not, because he plays around or because he is is always joking around. People sometimes see him as something else. And even his family member, in this case that we talked about in session, was that his mother at one point didn't see him as who he was, thought he was doing something, making money under the table, doing something wrong because he was doing so well in his business. And so that really hurt him. And it could hurt all of us, where you're not seen by who you are, and that creates in you, inside of you, this understanding, hey, I'm not going to be seen, I'm not going to be understood by others, I'm not going to be accepted by others. And so therefore I start going to my head, right? I start fearing these interactions. What am I going to say? What after he said what did I say, and should I have said that? And all these questions that we all have, right? At least one point in our lives. So Even people with disabilities, people that have physical or emotional or learning disabilities, they go through a lot of anxiety too, right? So, in any other circumstances in life, I could mention 1,000 million different ones, but I think we have to always see our fragilities, like the Achilles heel. Remember in the Greek stories where, Achilles was strong, tough, God. But he had this place in his heel that if you hit it, he would die. There's no cure. He wouldn't restore his super God power. Again, he was just limited in that area of his body, and we all know that the Greeks used these gods, stories, these you know idol stories to teach life lessons. And it is a life lesson that we all have an Achilles heel. We all have a part of us that we are vulnerable and unsafe, and we feel not or loved or accepted, or sometimes rejected, or by chance we might feel not good enough, which is, these are the biggest pain in life that we have, the biggest pains, right? So, but to be or do our best, we need to also remember what it says in the Bible, right? Let me go back to the Bible verse. Oh yeah, there you go. Colossians 3:23, and it says this: everything that you do it as with your wholeheartedly, as though you're doing it for God and not for men. Colossians 3:23. So I think the first thing that lowers our anxiety level and the stress that we live with, especially today, with this premise that we're supposed to be perfect, that we're supposed to live lives that are whole, and we're supposed to be super healthy and have perfect all-around lives, which obviously doesn't happen. We don't all have that. So it's, first off, do things for God. Prioritize this feeling, like everything that I'm doing is to honor God, to put God first. If you don't believe in God, do it for the universe. Do it for your own God, but do it for yourself. Why not, right? But the plan that we have to have is to first do it for a higher purpose. Another rule that we should have is to do the best that we can with what we have. If you go in any situation knowing that you're going to do your very best that you can with what you have, even with the mistakes that you may have, then that all alone already lowers your anxiety level. Even if I go up and teach something, in a university, and I trip and fall, that's the best that I could do there, right? Because it happens. We're all humans. So kind of like put yourself in the position of, this is who I am right now. I'm not going to be any better than I was 10 minutes ago, even if I study really hard. I am who I am, and I accept who I am, and I will give my very best of everything that I can for this. And that helps you stay in the present moment. And when you do that, when you become aware that you have done your very best up to now in your life to be who you are right now, then you get to accept the results that you're going to produce with what you're doing. Okay? Even if it is not the exact result that you wanted. That happens. We don't always get the right results. So the first thing that I'm going to give you a list of 5 things that you should and should not do to stay in the present moment, right? So 1, don't be distracted by what people say or what you think, right? Or what they think. First off, you're not responsible for whatever goes on people's heads. right? The only thing that can go on people's heads are wigs and lice. And you're none of those things. So there you go. So what you can do is just, okay, that I have a patient that says that sounds like a you problem, right? So give it like it's their problem. It's not your problem. Whatever goes through their heads, it's their problem, not your responsibility. You cannot change the way they see things. They're only, seeing it from their perspective, and that's always going to be that, you know. Also, another number two, I would say, is don't be thinking about what's happening. You know how you're always aware, oh, they moved. She made a face. He put that down, but then hit it really hard. Blah, blah, blah. Like you're always aware of every movement. That makes you get out of the present moment. You're always like observing. You're not really there. Okay? And not being really there actually hinders you a lot in any situation. If it's high risk or not, doesn't matter, because it stops you from being yourself fully. It stops people to know who you really are. It prevents you from even sometimes laughing and enjoying the moment. When we need that, we need to learn to enjoy the moments that we have. We don't have that many moments, where we show the best of us and we can laugh and enjoy. We have to learn to do this as a daily exercise. Be in the present moment. I'm going to enjoy these people. I'm not going to be thinking about what's happening or what they're thinking. Another third thing that you should do is not be concerned about what you say and rethink everything you say. I have a nephew. I shouldn't say a person in my family. I have a person in my family who every time he says something, he goes like that. He's so aware, so cute. I think everybody goes through that phase. That's what he does. He does the whole sentence. So it's really like he's really aware of everything that he says, and he doesn't get out of his head. And it's but it's tiresome, and it prevents him from enjoying people because he's repeating everything that he's saying. And some people don't do it with their lips, but they do it with their mind. Should I have said that? Should I not have said that? Why did I say that? Oh my gosh, why did they say that? So kind of just give your very best. Accept who you are. I think that's the biggest thing. Accept the person that you are, and be there. Just be there. Accept that this is who you are. This is fully who you're gonna be till the end of this conversation. It's not like you're gonna become a whole different person for this other person. This is who you are. You're always gonna be the son and the daughter of your story. And so don't be concerned about what people say and you say and they say, and then you're gonna rethink. You should be simply focused on what's happening in front of you, right? Like the conversation, the interaction, the feeling, right? Just focus on what's happening in the present moment right now. They're telling me this and I'm enjoying this, and this is so much fun. And then you start literally enjoying it instead of narrating it in your head. Also, don't give, you don't need to give excuses of who you are. This is who you are, and so accept who you are. I think the biggest thing here is to accept who you are. You are, if you don't have good grammar, if you don't have great biceps, if you don't have a great body, if you don't have this, but you have a whole bunch of other stuff, accept your story. After I finished my master's degree, I had gained some weight, and most of the students gained weight too. And one of the things that was said is, first, this is the product of something. Whenever you study a lot, you don't have time for other things. And especially me, I'm dyslexic, and so therefore it's hard for me to study. And so I have to find other ways, other means to learn the same thing that other people learn fast. And so In this case, what I did is that I tried to lose weight, but it really didn't work. But what I did to myself when I would look in the mirror, I'd say, I accept you for who you are because you made some decisions, and even though you didn't make some healthy decisions for eating, you made a lot of other good decisions for your life, and this is not the end. There are choices that you can make, and I will tell myself this, and I can make different choices, and I'm making different choices every day, and I'm getting healthier, slowly healthy, no hunger strikes, nothing like that. I'm just losing weight slowly until I get to the weight that I want. And that doesn't mean that it's on the weight that my mom wants. I don't know. My mom doesn't mind, an example. Or what society thinks. It's the weight that I accept for myself and I'm okay with, right? So I think the most important thing, I think, would be to accept being who you are, be honest of who you are and accept it. Don't excuse yourself. Don't say, don't be sorry for being who you are. This is who you are. You're precious and valuable and important. Jesus proved that in the cross, and you should remember that. So the two most important things that is that make being in the present hard is two most important things. Is one is when there's a lot at stake, high risk, right? If it's a high risk situation, you're gonna lose a job, or you're gonna not get a job, or you're gonna lose a business or money or things like that, or even your house. That makes you not stay in the present moment. Another thing would be the possibility of being judged socially. We all hate that. When we go to school or we go to work, and we think, oh, they're going to judge me, they're going to judge me. If, tell you the truth, if you study social psychology, every social interaction is judged. We're always going to be judged. There's no way out of that one. You're judging me right now on the way that I talk, on with my little accent or my purple hair, whatever it is. So, but that doesn't mean that every judgment is a threatening social interaction, right? So we have to kind of like consider, because if you know a little bit of neuroscience, you know that threatening situations actually take you to a place of thinking that every threatening situation is literally threatening, not just imagined threat, right? So our system, our emotions, it actually does not filter this, does not know, okay, this is an imagined threat. Or because I could imagine that people are going to watch me and judge my appearance or whatnot, and I could just not imagine that. But even if so, your nervous system does not know to differ between imagined threat or perceived threat or regular real threat, right? So if your system gets aroused by this fear, it literally goes into fight, flight, freeze reaction, which makes your frontal lobe shut down, and you go into the freezing kind of focus, narrow vision, and all that stuff that happens to us. So it's really important for us to answer maybe this question that Albert Einstein said. Albert Einstein said, is the world a friendly place for you? Is the world a friendly place? Isn't that a wonderful question? Is the world a friendly place? And we want the world to be a friendly place, but we don't always see it like that. Sometimes the world becomes very threatening. So every time you're entering into contact with the world, are you deducing that there is a kind of trust, right? The word trust or confidence comes from the word faith, because we together in conjunction together, we have fidence, we have faith on something, right? So wherever you are, do you both believe something that is basic about ourselves or ethics? Are we gonna have respect with each other? Are we gonna listen to each other? Are we gonna do what we plan to do? And all that stuff. For us to have confidence, for us to have trust, we need to remember that there is a basic faith on people that we all have. There are places that don't have that faith or that understanding of the world, obviously, threatening places, people that are dangerous, yes, but most people do have faith in other people. So much so that a lot of people drive in the streets. If you didn't have faith that other people would obey the law, you wouldn't be driving. I know that because I have patients that don't drive because of that. So only just changing this perspective and start imagining that we will be received, loved, and seen as valued will already take the weight of the anxiety from situations and kind of start seeing the world as a friendly place. I think the first step would always be, I accept myself and the values that I have, and the world is not in a threatening place. It's a friendly place. And I should see it like that because a lot of places that I go are friendly and it's good. It's a great place to be. We can it's also important to mention the theory of affirmation, right? If you want to bring your very best to the table, to the situations in life, you have to reaffirm who you are, who is the best version of you in that place, right? So the problem with that is that most people don't know themselves enough to know who they are. So I've already made a video about the identity and how to learn your identity, how to reaffirm your identity. And I want you to watch it later. Stay with me now. Don't go. Stay here. You watch it later. But and let's start reinforcing, right? This better version of who you are right now. Okay, let's start learning this. Let's start revisiting the values that you have for yourself. I'm going to give you a challenge today to do. Stay with me. I'm going to give you a challenge so that you learn to stay in the present moment, right? We usually know who we think we should be. We usually know what people think we are or should be, but generally we don't know who we are, okay? In the theory of self-affirmation, it says that when we get in touch with our most important value, everything becomes easier, lighter, and less anxious. This has been proven in several hundreds of studies and experiments. People are called, let's say this is the experiment, they are called to make a list. This is students that were called. Make a list of the most important things in their lives for them, right? And then these young people usually, they have to write the list and then they have to put it in the right order of whatever of importance, priority, whatever is more important to them. Let's say it's art. Art is number one. Art is the most important thing for me, right? So after you choose the number one, you have to write a story of when you were most excellent or you most expressed this part of who you are, right? So you then this is the challenge that you have to do today with all these three these three parts, right? The first part is make a list of what's most important to you. Number two, place it in order of priority of what's most important. And number three, write a story of the first one, of when you express this part of you the best way that you could. Okay, let's say for me is helping other people. So there's another part of this exercise. Stay with me. I'll teach you at the end. So you can stay with me at the end till the end. And it will be great for you to know your value. It's very important because it's going to strengthen what is right and most important about you. What's the most relevant thing for you? It'll be strengthened in your brain. You know, your neural pathways who are very strong in that area are already going to be even stronger knowing that this is connected to your values of your core of who you are, right? So in the case of people who did this exercise, they let's say people that wrote that their family is most important, right? They wrote the story. At this time, after they finished this exercise, the third part of the exercise, I'm gonna have to tell you now, is to write a sentence that communicates this value of themselves, right? I'm going to tell you my phrase at the end. The most important thing for me is helping people. That's my biggest value in the world. So I wrote about that. And so after they did this and they wrote about the story that related to their biggest value, then they write a sentence, like a mantra of what that means. What does that mean to them, right? And then they're supposed to kind of remember this or read it every time they have an anxious moment, a test, an interview, a presentation, a doctor's visit, whatever. Okay? And then for the duration, for these students that did this, for the duration of 6 months, they had better test results, first of all. Secondly, they had lower levels of stress hormones like epinephrine, lower levels of that, like adrenaline. They're the same, they just have different names. Epinephrine is the one that was mentioned in this study that was lower. And they, so even though they reaffirmed things that had nothing to do with the test that they were going to do or the presentation that they were going to be presenting, it doesn't matter because it reaffirmed who they are. It reaffirmed their real value, their real worth to themselves, which made them less stressed and be able to concentrate and focus and remember what's their best value, right? And so who they are in their essence. It was compared, these students that had the self-affirmation sentence and did the exercise, they had higher test results, I told you this, and lower levels of epinephrine. So to teach you what is self-affirmation, then it would be to understand who you are and what is your story. So the first step is to affirm who you are, right? Who are you? If I would say who I am, I'd say I'm Elika, I'm a psychologist, marriage and family therapist, which means I do treat families and couples and I help people, right? And if I reaffirm my real values and who I really am, okay, then it lowers my stress level greatly, okay? To know also, in this case, another thing that you should do is know your ups and downs, meaning buy your story. You shouldn't just sell who you are. If you wouldn't even buy it. Believe that your story represents who you are, who you believe yourself to be, your values, right? So accept your story, even the saddest moments or the best moments, the most wonderful moments. Accept that and understand that this story is the story that made you who you are. In reality, you are today the son or the daughter of the story that you participated in, that you are a part of, right? So therefore, if you look at it, and there's going to be soon a post about this, is that all these pieces are pieces of the puzzle of a masterpiece that God is creating for our lives. If you put together the little pieces that you're learning of who you are, you're gonna then learn and understand your biggest value, who you really are, in essence, in your core. there's a science behind this knowing your value, right? This story of what is important to you. And it proves to us that we are, it reaffirms us who we are and what we're here for. Let's say that if you don't win the job or the interview, right? That winning that job or getting that chance to get better in life in that way will not change, let's say, your values to help people, right? If you get in there knowing my biggest value is helping people, I love helping people, that's my biggest and most important thing for me, right? So if you go in there knowing your value, knowing your worth, doesn't matter what happens in there, because you're going to get out of there knowing that you're always going to try to help people. This is going to be your essence. If these people hire you or not, it will not change who you are. See, that makes sense, right? It lowers the anxiety level, lowers the stress hormones. Anchor yourself in who you are. Watch that video about identity, because you were and you will be, after you leave that meeting, the same person that you went into, right? This last month I met a person who is very important, and they because I read people's body language, I know how to also communicate that I am staying my ground. I know how to communicate that I am big and important. I know how to communicate that physically. It's not hard. You have power poses, and I use that. I didn't even notice that I was using it, but I used it in a meeting with this person, and it made me so humble when I realized that this person was not using any poses. They were not showing anything more than who they really were, and it amazed me. I was like, what is this mask? It disarmed me. What is this mask that I'm trying to use with this person? If they are not armed, why am I getting armed, right? And so it's really important for us to see the world as not threatening, to be in the present moment. When I realized that I was doing this, I stopped it, because it's maybe a natural thing out of fear that I train myself to do, because I do see a lot of patients that think highly of themselves, narcissistic, and so you need to impose yourself to some people because they think so much greater that there's no control I have to impose, or else I will not be respected. If I go lower, they will step on me. So there's lots of different people in the world. That does not mean that every situation is a threatening situation, right? So for this exercise, number 1, make a list of the most important values that you have for your life. Number 2, write why they're important and put it in the proper order, priority. Rise, what's the most important things, and then you write the story of when you were best that person, that value, you represented that value the most, right? And lastly, you make a sentence about that value. I'm going to give you my sentence in a minute, right? Remembering that this is based on the book called Presence by Amy Cuddy, right? When you create this phrase, keep it safe. And this phrase will anchor you to strengthen you at the root of who you are. And it'll make you get through the most threatening situations that life brings with anxiety and stress. Your stress hormones are going to be lower because you're going to know who you are since the beginning of the whole thing until the end. So how to have confidence? Stay in the present moment. How to stay in the present moment? Pay attention to what's happening and not pay attention to the interaction, not everything that is happening and the thoughts and your doubts, right? Believing in a story has to do with how you are going to sell it. If you buy your own story, you'll be able to sell it. If you don't even buy it, nobody else will, right? So in this case, if you have to wear your own logo, your own shirt, metaphorically, by your story. Accept your story. Learn that this is your story. It'll always be your story, and you're always going to be the son and daughter of your story. And that means great things to a lot of people. I come from a very low, financially low area of Sao Paulo in Brazil. And, it's not a pretty place. It's a dangerous place. Not a lot of people would want to be walking in the streets there, with their phone out, because it would be stolen. But this is who I am. I never lived there for too long. I was a little girl when I left, and I came to America pretty early in my life. But still, I am still from that area. And I am always going to be the daughter of my mom and my dad. And my siblings are always going to be my siblings. And my story is always going to be the same story, right? So it produces something. I'm the daughter of, Christian folks. And I was brought up in church. And that's my story. And I accept it. I accept my story. Accept yours. Accept that you are who you are because of the story that you went through. Forgive yourself for not being perfect, because nobody is. And work with the best that you can with what you got, right? If you need therapy, look for a therapist. Learn things, study more things, get better on the things that you think you need. But Amy Cuddy, she says one thing, and I love that she says that being in the present moment, and it's not just about confidence. Some people think it's not about confidence, it's about arrogance. If you're arrogant enough, then people are going to see you as confident. Arrogance and confidence are two completely different things, and I can talk about that soon, maybe next week, I don't know. But it's arrogance is gross, because it puts you in a position where you're greater than other people, and nobody's better than anybody, right? We all have different knowledges about different things, so maybe this topic is next week's topic, I don't know. So today, the exercise, you do the exercise, review what's most important to you, and learn from that. Remember that. Have that written down in a paper, in a wall, in your phone. Read it, right? Excuse me. My most important value on earth is being able to help people, right? That's what I love to do the most. And this is my sentence. There is nothing that can change that inside of me, because this is my essence. God made me like this. This is proven because I am a psychologist, because I help people, because I look at people with love and grace. I am not always perfect in this, but nothing has changed the fact that I love helping people. No victory or loss has changed that. I believe that God made me like this, and that gives me value. Makes me be authentic and valuable to God, to the world, and to myself. That's my sentence. So you can use something like that. Let's say you like animals. You say, I love taking care of animals. It makes me so happy. And there's nothing that can change that. If I get hired to be a veterinarian or not, nothing will change that. This is who I am, right? So thank you for staying with me until the end. And I just ask you to comment, share the video, share it to people that you think I could help. And I love to do what I do, and I do it with a lot of love and research. And so I ask, please, share this stuff. And you can click in my bio and learn more about my things. And I have a lot of, what I offer to people. I'm a psychologist, so if you need therapy, contact me. Maybe I could see you online. Also, I am offering soon a 21-day challenge for people that want to help their self-esteem. So if you're interested, send me a DM. And the work that I do is very important to me, and it's what I love, and I really appreciate it that you're here with me and I get to help you. I hope that you learn to stay in the present moment, not stay in the future where anxiety is, or in the past where sadness is, depression, but stay in the present moment, because the present is always going to be a present to us, right? It's always going to be a present from God. Thank you. You have a wonderful day. Bye-bye.